in the early 1930s, Robert E. Howard had a creative Celtic awakening. He was of Irish and Scottish descent, and he felt a sense of ancestral kinship with the Pictish tribes, and he began to mythologize their past. And this revival began with a pre-Celtic phase that gave rise to characters like Brule the Spear Slayer and Bran Mak Morn. And as a result, the Pictish tribes were given a prominent placement within the Howardian cosmos. And if you look at Howard's Romano-Britannic stories, they are actually quite historically accurate if you remove the supernatural elements from those tales. Howard had a very good understanding of the ethnic groups of this region of Caledonia, which corresponds to modern-day Scotland, and he used historical locations like Eboracum, which was a Roman settlement in what is now Yorkshire, England. And Howard exhibited a great knowledge of the military tactics of these tribal confederacies that were fighting against local Roman governors and their armies. But Howard's depiction of the Pictish people begins to diverge when he engages in an extended theosophical thought experiment to map out a fantastical life cycle for the Pictish clans that stretches across a vast timeline. Using Spengler's terminology, the Pictish people are in the springtime of high culture during the Thurian Age, and they reach their civilizational peak during that period. And after the cataclysm, they never regain that level of advancement. They have lost their knowledge of metallurgy, and they are sunken into a phase of Stone Age ignorance. So in the Thurian Age, during the Golden Period, you have Brule the Spear Slayer, who is this idealized Pictish Superman. And after that era, the clans become downfallen, and Bran Mak Morn is only a dim shadow of what Brule the Spear Slayer represented in that golden age of Volusia and the Pictish Isles. Then, in the Romano-Britannic tales, the Pictish tribes fight a losing battle against the ascendant forces of the Roman Empire, and their chieftain, Bran Mak Morn, comes into contact with the worms of the earth. And the worms of the earth are these gremlin-like creatures that live beneath the surface of the world, and they worship this black orb that radiates necromantic forces. They are eldritch beings that have reptilian features and a downfallen humanoid appearance, and they are the offspring of degenerated serpent men and fallen humans, and so they are Howard's metaphor for absolute evil, and they represent spiritual wickedness, corruption, decay, sloth, decline, and unconsciousness. And Howard wrote a story that deals with this mythos specifically. The Lost Race is a tale that occurs some years after the death of Bran Mak Morn, in a time when the Celtic and Cornish tribes are dominant in this region. And in this story, a traveler is taken captive, and he awakens in a cave surrounded by these malevolent dwarves who want to sacrifice him. And it is revealed that these subterranean beings are actually of Pictish origin, and the implication is that these Pictish dwarves are devolving, and they will continue to degenerate until they come to resemble the worms of the earth who preceded them. And this represents the end stage in the life cycle of the Pictish race within the theosophical thought experiment that Howard was conducting. And it is very much in line with the theories of Rudolf Steiner.